you, expert strategies, best practices for the modern lender. That's not a small subject, is it?
No, it's a big topic.
Let's break it down. Let's talk a little bit about social media today.
Let's do it.
Okay, so what is going on out there in the atmosphere regarding social media and how mortgage is using it to try to win?
So you've got today's modern lender, that the modern lender we consider to be somebody that is taking digital transformation seriously. They've upgraded things. They're focused on it, and they're watching the trends and they're getting ahead of things, right? And you've got sort of the traditional people that have kind of just done things the way they've been done for the last 10 years and they're not transforming, right? So what we've noticed is the people really crushing it right now in marketing and then social media specifically for today's topic are doing things differently. And let me explain in more detail. So the old school way that a lot of brands still practice today, and this is okay, but it's where they stop. They go and they take their message, their marketing in social media. They take the content and they have it branded to the company and they go direct to the consumer. So they're publishing content right to the consumer with the brand, and you've got that level of engagement. Mm-hmm. The ones that are crushing it right now are saying, wait a second, we've got these salespeople out in these local communities. They've got these networks of people that trust them, right? And so what's the likelihood of a consumer that needs a mortgage if they recognize the person that goes to their kid's school or their church or community organization, and they can associate them with that brand? That level of trust is increased exponentially. And so the people that are crushing it are doing that very well. They're taking that corporate messaging, branding, that social media content. They're getting it personalized at the loan officer, salesperson level, and then they're taking that directly to the consumer. So you've got a very community-focused, hyper-local strategy that is more relevant because you're combining the brand of the salesperson with the brand of the company, and in turn, as you're targeting the customer with that personalized information, that personalized content, you elevate the level of trust.
Okay, so I'm seeing a connection here between the company and the effort that they're making to get their brand out there, which is great, and that's not something that you necessarily want to stop doing. But without the connection in between to the ultimate consumer, it's not as effective.
That's right. Yeah, it's just not as effective. Consumers today, they're marketed to, we're marketed to constantly. It's a steady stream in your Instagram feed, your Facebook feed. You have messaging and images and videos and articles coming at you from every direction that are really targeted, that know your behaviors and what you're interested in. So it's getting harder than ever to create messaging and content and branding, marketing that is impactful because people tune it out. And so combining the power of that human-to-human connection and harnessing that at the local level with that big company brand, that great marketing that they have to put out, harnessing that and using that in tandem is such a powerful strategy.
Okay, you just said a lot. So when you talked about the company spraying their brand really large, there is, for historically anyway, many people have loved the idea of a really big name that they've seen everywhere. But when it comes to something so personal as a mortgage and real estate transaction, they need that extra layer of expertise with somebody that they connect to. So back up a little bit and tell us then what the missing piece is and what the corrective measure would be.
So the traditional way that companies are branding to consumers in let's just use social media, that channel today for purposes of this discussion. The traditional way is they take their message, they take their content, and they publish it directly from brand down to consumer. So the consumer sees the content that's coming at them. They see the brand. They don't see a person attached to that brand mostly. They just see the big brand coming at them. Right?
Sure. Yep.
Well, the people that are winning, the best practices, if you will, for the modern lender are the ones that are harnessing that personalization of that content. So you have marketing assets at the top. Now you combine those marketing assets with the individual salesperson, the loan officer, the financial advisor, whoever it is at that sales level. You personalize it there and then allow them to distribute that into their networks inside Facebook and social media, right? And it's even better if you're automating that process and you're fluidly publishing content through there.
Would you elaborate a little bit on what you mean when you talk about personalizing it? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So you take a marketing asset that's on social media, for example, and maybe it's an article, maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a happy holidays, maybe whatever it might be. Name and face. The individual salesperson is their own brand. And in most of the top producers, for sure, in their local markets, they're a brand in themselves, right? So if you can align them with the company brand, it's a much more effective strategy to take their personal brand along with the company brand. So their name and face intertwined integrated into the content. And then when they're publishing that content, they see the person they know. And it's in their network, and they trust this person. They draw that, and they see the combination of the person they trust, their brand, and the big company brand that this person works with.
So that's how that comes together and really becomes more effective.
Precisely.
Absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned automation. How does automation figure into that? Because it sounds like a bit more work to connect yourself to this big brand. How does the automation work?
So automation, the best way to make automation effective is to get the salesperson they have their own profile account, their own, whether it's a CRM or marketing engine, whatever it might be. The individual salesperson should have their own profile, their unique login. They need to connect that login to their social media accounts, right? If you don't have a platform that does that, you need to find one, right? And so then you have it set up so the company can have rich content, great looking media, brand controlled marketing assets that they push down into the salesperson's account. And that allows for dynamic personalization, meaning automatic personalization, and then publishing into those social channels.
Okay.
So it's one sort of fluid process because where most companies fail, they provide a lot of content maybe, but if it's not getting pushed to the social channels, then it's not doing its job.
Okay, and connected with, again, that face that's trusted in a particular community. Okay, there's another side to this, though, too, I think, that works in concert with what you're saying, and I've heard you speak on it many times. It's creating receptivity, really, out there in social media, and that has to do with active participation by, in this case, say, an MLO, with reaching out and commenting on targets of consumer, realtor, et cetera. Can you talk about that a little bit? I think it's relevant.
It certainly is relevant. And where most people fail at social media, and this is at a salesperson level, really, right? You've got your corporate brand level. It's sort of a different animal. But at the retail salesperson level, they try to close the deal and sell people out of the gate.
Oh, okay.
And our philosophy is if you're trying to, say, connect with a new referral partner or maybe land a big customer, what you want to do is essentially season the relationship a little bit, right?
Okay.
And you want to comment on their posts, give them a compliment, make sure they know who you are over a period of a month or two, and generally not asking for anything other than just complimenting them and commenting on things. There's a tactful way to do that. And many people just out of the box go and try to put a value proposition. I can do this for you. I can close a loan for you. And people tune you out. So build some trust first. And then it's just so much more impactful when you go in with some kind of a value proposition. So it's the standard. Gary Vaynerchuk, somebody that I've followed for a long time, social media expert, talks about it. He's got a book really about it, and it's jab, jab, left hook or right hook. I can't remember which one it is.
That's great.
But it's basically like you're putting it out there, and then you're waiting back, and then you're kind of going in for that value. That last punch, if you will, is what you're trying to get them to do, which is do business with you.
Okay. So in the umbrella over all of this, and it's a huge topic, even if you chunk it down into the social media realm only with regard to best practices for the modern lender, give me a to-do list here.
Yeah. So number one, I think you have to look at the way you're managing your content. Do you have a compliant environment to control your brand and manage your brand? Number two, what is the way that you're publishing content at a corporate level? Make sure that you have processes in place to monitor that and control that. Mm-hmm. And then three would be making sure that you're making that connection between company to salesperson to consumer versus a lot of brands just go big brand to directly to consumer. They miss that step of personalization. And so that's a big one. And education-centric content, that's the last piece. Educate, never sell. Consumers, today's consumers, they want knowledge. They want to know things. They want to understand the impact of the market. They want to understand information about programs and things like that, what's going on in the industry. So knowledge around what your expertise is, which is mortgage lending, finance, real estate, whatever it might be.
Based on your travels and the most recent conversations you're having with top companies and producers across the country, that last piece, education-based marketing, what are the best of the best doing with regard to their content? Because we always throw content out there as though anything will do as long as it fits into that category. How often should people really be taking a hard, honest look at what they've got, and what should they be looking for to make sure it's good?
Yeah, I think depending on what your resources are as a company, of course, the bigger companies have internal resources. What we're seeing really start not working is just buying vanilla stuff that thousands and thousands of other people use, the stuff that's really feels dated. There's, a lot of sort of industry incumbent companies that provide these services to the industry, and they really haven't updated much of anything in many years. And so consumers are their BS meter is really strong. And so they just tune a lot of that lower quality stuff out. So you have to have there's certainly sources that you can buy high quality information and then putting that into pieces of content. For example, where the markets are at in terms of interest rates, is it a good time to buy? So there's all kinds of different things that you can do there. One of the best things is to have somebody on your staff that's obviously dedicated more as an editorial research type of person that is bringing things in that your graphic design person can turn into some marketing assets. And there's also lots and lots of little boutique agencies, freelance people that will create 12 months worth of content for you around different things. So the more authentic it can be, the better. We certainly provide some stuff to our customers, but the ones that I see really killing it are the ones that have a approach to create authentic content unique to them that's real time.
Okay. So any final thoughts on best practices for the modern lender, the social media edition?
Yeah, I think get serious about it and make sure you're staying on the cutting edge. It's huge. Consumers are engaging there more than ever. It's so relevant today for you to be able to engage with your target customers in the most personal way possible. And that is generally being done through that salesperson. So company to salesperson to consumer versus just company to consumer.
And please go to totalexpert.com resources and look for our free Facebook features guide. We've got some great ways for you to maximize the benefit of that incredible beast that is Facebook.